Every night a door appears. You step through it without remembering the handle. And the world speaks to you in masks. You call it sleep. But it behaves like passage. The room goes dark. The body becomes heavy. The mind loosens its grip. And then, without effort, you arrive somewhere else. Not nowhere. Not blankness. A territory. It has rules, not logical rules. Symbolic rules. A grammar made of images. A language that does not ask your permission. This is why it feels uncanny. You do not decide the scenes. You do not choose the cast. You do not control the meaning. You simply cross. The door is the first symbol. It is the threshold that opens nightly. The hinge between your waking identity and the deeper strata beneath it. In the day, you maintain a face, a voice, a name that feels stable. At night, the door swings inward, and the you perform becomes porous. This does not make the dreaming world sacred. It makes it real, morally neutral, like a sea, like fire. It can reveal, it can distort, it can cleanse, it can frighten. Because once the door opens, the second symbol arrives. The mask. In dreams, truth rarely speaks directly. Not because it lies, because direct speech would be rejected. The waking ego prefers control. It prefers narrative. It prefers being right. So the dreaming world puts a mask on the message. It wraps insight in drama. It hides the blade in a story. It gives you an image that can slip past your defenses. A stranger's face, a ruined house, a theater, a corridor that never ends, a voice that belongs to no one you know. And you wake with the residue of it, not just emotion, a pressure, a sense that something spoke. You are confused because you want it to be literal. You want the dream to be footage, a recording, a prophecy you can file. But this place is not a news report. It is transmission, a door into a symbolic layer, a masked language that speaks when waking language cannot. And sometimes when the dream is strong enough, you can almost hear the source behind it. Not the characters, not the costume, the voice. I am a voice speaking softly. I exist from the first. I dwell within the silence that surrounds every one of them. The dreaming world is not entertainment, it is training. A nightly rehearsal in perception, a hidden curriculum. A place where the soul learns to read without superstition and without arrogance. Because every night the door opens, and every night the mask appears. The only question is whether you will learn the language. In the day, you live inside a story you call me. It is stitched from habit, from memory, from social survival. From the need to be consistent, this story is useful. It lets you function. It lets you stay coherent. But it also filters reality. It edits what you notice. It decides what is important. It deletes what threatens your self-image. It rejects what cannot be explained quickly. So when the deeper layers need to speak, they do not speak in daylight sentences. Daylight language is guarded. It is policed by pride and fear. At night, the guards loosen. This is why the dreaming world uses masks. A dream does not hand you a statement like a teacher. It hands you an image like a key. It doesn't argue, it bypasses. A mask is not a lie. It is a delivery system. It allows truth to arrive without triggering immediate resistance. It carries what the waking mind would refuse. This is why dream characters are often not themselves. A friend wears the face of a stranger. A parent speaks with the voice of a child. A lover becomes an enemy. A monster becomes a guide. The message is not the costume. The message is the pattern. And you learn the first rule here. Dreams are not about who appears. They are about what is moving through you. The mask is the symbol of displacement, a way of saying, do not cling to the literal. Look for the force. A dream might show you a locked room, but what it is really showing is the part of you that avoids a certain truth. A dream might show you being chased, but what it is really showing is the energy you keep running from in your own life. This is also why dreams feel exaggerated. They amplify. They take a small, neglected signal and make it enormous, not to scare you for fun, to get your attention. The dreaming world is not polite, it is efficient. And once you see this, you start to understand the door in a new way. The door is not only the entrance into dream space, it is the transition from controlled identity into symbolic perception. In waking life, you try to be stable. In dreams, stability is not the goal. Revelation is. But here is the danger. If you treat every mask as literal, you become paranoid. If you treat every mask as prophecy, you become superstitious. If you treat every mask as proof, you become inflated. And reading begins with humility. Because the dreaming world will happily feed your ego if you ask it to. It can produce endless theater, endless confirmation, endless special messages. That is not awakening. That is indulgence. The true function of the mask is the opposite. It trains discernment. It teaches you to separate signal from story, meaning from drama, truth from spectacle. And once you begin to do that, you can cross the door with a different posture, not as a tourist, not as a worshiper of signs, as a reader. Not every dream is a message. Some are simply the mind clearing its table. Fragments of the day, stress residues, a conversation that left a bruise, a fear that never found words, a random image the brain stored without meaning. This is noise. It matters in the way weather matters. It shows your inner climate, but it is not a telegram from the deep. Then there is the other kind, the dream that has weight. You wake and something stays. Not just emotion, a density, a strange clarity, a sense of being addressed. This is signal, and you can tell the difference, not by the content, but by the after effect. Noise dreams dissipate, signal dreams remain. Noise dreams feel like leftovers. Signal dreams feel like a door you are still half standing inside. The problem is that most people approach this backwards. They chase dramatic images, assuming drama equals meaning. But the dreaming world can be dramatic for trivial reasons. Fear alone can create spectacle. Signal is often quieter than you expect. Sometimes it arrives as a single image that will not release you. A key, a flooded hallway, a mask with no face behind it, a door that opens to a room of empty chairs. The simplicity is the point. The deeper the signal, the less it needs to shout. If a dream makes you obsessed with outcome, it is often noise. If a dream makes you more honest, it is often signal. Noise wants you to interpret for control. Signal wants you to interpret for alignment. Noise makes you ask, what will happen? Signal makes you ask, what is happening in me? This is where the symbols return. The door. A signal dream often contains a threshold, a crossing, a passage you cannot ignore, a door you hesitate to open, a door you open and regret, a door you open and feel relief, a door that appears but has no handle. The dreaming world loves thresholds because your life is full of them. You stand at them daily, before speaking truth, before leaving a job, before ending a pattern, before admitting what you already know. The dream simply puts that threshold in image form so you can't pretend it isn't there. And then the mask. A signal dream often contains a disguise that feels intentional. A person acting like someone else. A familiar face speaking words that feel foreign. A performance, a theater, a costume you cannot remove. That mask is not mystical. It is precise. It says, there is an energy in your life that is not showing itself directly. There is a motive wearing a friendly face. There is a fear wearing logic. There is a wound wearing pride. The dream doesn't accuse. It exposes the disguise. And this exposure is the beginning of discernment. But you must keep one rule. Do not become addicted to signal. If you start waiting for dreams to tell you what to do, you reverse the proper order. Dreams are not command. They are reflection. They do not replace your agency. They sharpen it. This is why the dreaming world is a training ground. It teaches you to recognize the unseen forces shaping your decisions in waking life. Some dreams are weather. Some dreams are message. And the way you know is simple. Noise keeps you in fascination. Signal turns you toward truth. Sometimes the door does not close fully. You wake up and the day feels thin, not unreal, transparent. You notice patterns that were always there, but never visible. A phrase repeated by different mouths. A symbol that follows you through the week. A coincidence so exact it feels scripted. This is when people start saying the word omen. But the danger is immediate, because the mind loves meaning. And it will manufacture signs if it is hungry enough. So we need to be precise. An omen is not anything that stands out. An omen is a resonance between inner state and outer event that produces clarity. It does not inflate you. It does not frighten you into superstition. It does not replace responsibility. It sharpens perception. A true sign does not say, "You are special." It says, "Pay attention." It is less like a fortune teller and more like an alarm that wakes you at the threshold. And this is why the dreaming world and the waking world sometimes align. Because the unconscious does not stop speaking when your eyes open. It simply changes medium. At night, it uses images. In the day, it uses pattern recognition. You see the same symbol in a book, in a conversation, in a street sign, in a stray headline. And you feel the internal click, not excitement, recognition. The door appears again. A real door, a chance encounter, a sudden invitation, an unexpected refusal, a delay that pushes you away from a path you were forcing. This is the outer world behaving like a dream. Not because reality is fake, because your perception has become sensitive enough to notice structure. But again, we must keep the core rule. Signs are not instructions, they are mirrors. If you treat every coincidence as destiny, you become weak. If you treat signs as commands, you surrender your agency. And the weavers you met in episode 43 become tyrants again, not because they are tyrants, but because you made them into ones. This is the subtle trap. The mask returns, this time in daylight. You start to see what you want to see. You start to interpret everything as confirmation. You start to wear a mask of knowing while actually being guided by hunger. That is not discernment. That is projection. So how do you tell the difference? A false omen increases compulsion. A true omen increases clarity. A false omen makes you rush. A true omen makes you pause. A false omen turns the world into a code you must crack. A true omen turns you back toward a single question. What is the honest action here? Because if an omen is real, it should point you toward integrity, not toward obsession. The dreaming world leaking into the day is not meant to enslave you. It is meant to refine you, to teach you that perception has layers, that the surface of life is not the whole script, that you are being invited again and again to notice the threshold and choose consciously. And once you learn this, you stop chasing signs. You start becoming the kind of person who can recognize them without losing your center, which leads to the next layer. Not dreams as images, not signs as coincidences, but visions, those moments when the mask drops and something raw and direct breaks through. There are times when the dreaming world does not bother with subtlety. The mask slips, not fully, not permanently, but enough to disturb you. A vision arrives in the borderland between sleep and waking, a sudden image behind closed eyes, a voice that is not your internal monologue, a moment of knowing that has no argument attached. This is where the line becomes dangerous, because the same terrain that can reveal can also distort. A vision can be signal. A vision can be noise with a crown on it. A vision can be the ego's hunger dressed in divine clothing. So you need a stricter discernment here. Not skepticism that shuts the door, not belief that worships the mask. Discernment. The first test is simple. A true vision does not rush you. It does not demand immediate action. It does not flatter you with superiority. It leaves you sober. It may shake you. It may humble you. It may strip you of an illusion. But it does not turn you into a fanatic. Delusion, on the other hand, is impatient. It wants certainty now. It wants a story you can broadcast. It wants to make you the center. It produces heat without light. This is why the dreaming world uses masks in the first place. Because raw truth is hard to hold. When the mask slips, you can panic. You can inflate. You can try to lock the moment into doctrine. And the moment you do, you lose it. Because vision is not possession, it is contact. A touch from a deeper layer that cannot be forced, cannot be packaged, cannot be used as status. This is where the door becomes a warning. You can open it, but you cannot own what you meet there. And the mask becomes a mercy. It protects you from premature certainty. It protects you from turning one insight into a prison. So how do you work with vision without being consumed? You ground it in the only reliable place, your behavior. If a vision is true, it should make you more honest. It should reduce your appetite for performance. It should soften cruelty. It should sharpen responsibility. If it makes you arrogant, paranoid, superior, or obsessed, you are looking at a mask you mistook for a face. This is the point that many seekers refuse. They want revelation without transformation. They want the thrill without the cost. But the dreaming world is not a circus. It is a teacher. And its lessons are ruthless in one way. It does not care what you claim to have seen. It cares what you become. You learn to hold vision without worship. You learn to respect the door without rushing through it. You learn to see the mask and not be fooled by it. And once you do, something changes. The dreaming world stops being chaotic. It becomes language. Not a language that makes you omniscient, a language that makes you coherent. A nightly mirror that trains you to see the hidden motives shaping your days. Which brings us to the practical turn. How do you actually read this language without falling into obsession? If you take dreams seriously, you need a method, not a rigid system, not a dictionary that claims every symbol means one thing. That is how superstition is born. A symbol is not a code. It is a living shape. The same image can mean different things in different lives. A door can be invitation. A door can be avoidance. A door can be death. A door can be birth. So dreamwork begins with one principle. You do not ask, what does this mean in general? You ask, what does this do to me? Because the dreaming world speaks through effect. A symbol is a pressure point. It touches something inside you, and the touch reveals what is hidden. This is why the mask is so central. A mask in a dream is rarely about deception out there. It is often about a role you are wearing, a persona you cannot take off, a version of yourself you perform to be safe, a tone you adopt so you won't be rejected. Sometimes the mask is social. Sometimes it is spiritual. Sometimes it is moral. You are the good one. You are the strong one. You are the rational one. You are the one who doesn't need anyone. And the dream puts that mask on stage, so you can see it as costume rather than identity. The door is equally instructive. A door in a dream is rarely about geography. It is about threshold. What are you refusing to enter? What are you forcing yourself to enter too quickly? What truth is behind the door that you keep walking past in daylight? This is why a good method is always grounded in one thing: your waking life. Dreams do not replace waking reality. They comment on it. They reveal what you cannot see while performing your daily self. So the simplest dream work is this. You wake up. You don't rush to interpret. You write the dream's images as if you're recording a story you did not author. Door, mask, corridor, water, the feeling in the body. Then you ask one clean question. Where is this already happening in my life? Not in a mystical sense. In a practical sense, where am I at a threshold? Where am I wearing a role? Where am I avoiding a truth by performing a persona? This is how the symbol becomes usable. And the moment it becomes usable, the dreaming world stops being entertainment and starts being guidance, not guidance like command, guidance like mirror. It shows you the leverage points where change is possible, but the real danger still remains. Interpretation can become addiction. You can spend your life decoding symbols and never change a single behavior. You can build an identity out of being a reader of signs while remaining trapped in the same loops. So the method must end in one place. Action, not dramatic action. Small, truthful action. If the dream shows a door you refuse to open, you choose one honest threshold today. One conversation you've avoided, one admission you've postponed, one boundary you've blurred. If the dream shows a mask you cannot remove, you choose one moment today where you stop performing. One sentence spoken without costume. One act that is less impressive but more real. This is what makes Dreamwork safe. It returns power to your agency. It prevents the dreaming world from becoming a theater that steals your life. And when you work this way, something quietly astonishing happens. The dreams begin to change. They become less chaotic, less repetitive, more precise, because the dreaming world is not trying to entertain you. It is trying to teach you to see, which means the final chapter is inevitable. If dreams are a language, then what is their purpose in the arc? To restore contact with the voice beneath the masks, to make you the kind of person who can hear it even in daylight. A dream is not the destination. It is the training room. The point is not to become someone who remembers every symbol. The point is to become someone who can carry the signal into the day. Because the most important message is not an image, it is the shift in your perception after the image. You wake up and something is different, not externally, internally. You are less convinced by your usual excuses, less hypnotized by urgency, less willing to betray your own knowing for comfort. That is the real dream language. It is not trying to make you mystical, it is trying to make you coherent. This is why the door and the mask belong together. The door is the nightly opening into symbolic depth. The mask is the form the message takes so it can pass your defenses. But once the message has passed, the goal is not to keep collecting masks. The goal is to meet what is behind them, the voice. Not an external authority you obey, not a personality you worship. A quiet, original intelligence that becomes audible when your inner noise reduces. And you can feel the difference between this voice and your ordinary thoughts. Your ordinary thoughts are reactive. They argue, they rehearse, they justify. The voice is clean. It is often a single sentence that does not feel like persuasion. It feels like recognition. It does not say, prove it. It says, you already know. This is why the ancient line matters here, not as decoration, but as a mirror of experience. I am a voice speaking softly. I exist from the first. I dwell within the silence that surrounds every one of them. When you hear something like that internally, even faintly, you stop needing dramatic signs. Because you realize The deepest guidance does not need theater, it needs receptivity. So the true practice after this episode is not to become obsessed with dream recall. It is to cultivate a waking posture that can still hear. You carry the signal by doing something simple. You treat your day like a continuation of the dream. Not in the sense that the world is unreal, in the sense that symbols still exist, thresholds still exist, masks still exist, people still perform, you still perform, motives still hide behind faces, fear still dresses itself as logic. And now you can see it. So when a situation appears that feels like a dream repeating, you pause. You ask, what is the door here? What is the mask here? Where is the threshold I'm avoiding? Where is the role I'm hiding inside? And then you listen, not for drama, for the quiet sentence beneath the mind's noise. Because this is what it means to wake with the signal. Dreams become less important as events, and more important as training. They teach you to recognize the hidden architecture of your own life, and once you can recognize it, you can act differently, not perfectly, not permanently, but consciously. The loom is not only outside you, it is inside your attention. And the dreaming world is one of the ways the loom reveals itself without forcing it. Night after night, the door opens. Mask after mask appears. But the real invitation is always the same: to become the kind of person who can see a mask and still choose truth. To become the kind of person who can cross a threshold without losing inner sovereignty. To become the kind of person who can hear the voice beneath the symbols. Eventually, the dreaming world stops being a strange place you visit. It becomes a mirror you carry. You begin to notice that the real mask is not only in sleep, it is in your daily posture. The tone you use to avoid conflict, the smile that hides exhaustion, the certainty that covers fear, the role you play so you won't be abandoned. You wear it so long it starts to feel like your face. And then, sometimes, the dream shows you the mask so clearly that you cannot pretend anymore. You wake up and you realize, I have been performing my life, not always dishonestly, often beautifully, often bravely, but performance is still performance. And the cost is subtle. If you wear a mask long enough, you forget what it feels like to breathe without it. So the final movement of this episode is not about decoding dreams. It is about taking the dream's lesson and applying it to daylight. The door is still there. It is every threshold you meet while awake. Every moment where you can repeat the old reaction or choose a new response. Every instant where you can hide behind persona or speak from the witness. And now you understand what the door is really asking. Not, do you believe in dreams? But, will you stop lying to yourself? Because the dreaming world does not demand belief. It demands honesty. It shows you where you are divided. It shows you where you are split between what you know and what you do. It shows you where you are negotiating with the truth to keep a comfortable identity. So you cross the door in daylight the same way you crossed it at night. You pause. You feel your body. You notice the mask forming. You notice the urge to perform. And then you let the mask loosen, not for drama, not to impress anyone with authenticity, simply to become real. You speak one sentence you would normally soften. You admit one feeling you would normally hide. You stop pretending to be fine when you are not fine. You stop pretending to be certain when you are uncertain. This is how the dream becomes liberation, not by giving you prophecy, by giving you perception. And once perception sharpens, the world changes. Not because reality shifts, because you stop misreading it. You see roles, you see thresholds, you see patterns. And most importantly, you begin to recognize the voice beneath the noise, quiet, original, not begging you to believe, simply waiting for you to listen. I am a voice speaking softly. I exist from the first. I dwell within the silence that surrounds every one of them. That is what remains when the masks dissolve. Not doctrine, not theater, a still point of knowing inside you. And if you can return to it again and again, then the dreaming world has done its work. Because you no longer need the night to be guided. You have learned to carry the lantern into the day.